All right, good evening. Awesome. Welcome in. We will be getting started here in just a few minutes. I don't own the rights to this music. I'll say that multiple times. All views shared this evening will be um, my opinion and do not represent any company. Hello there.
We are not the same, I am too reckless.
All right, we are 1 minute away. I'm so excited. All right, we are at 8 o'clock. We'll give it just 1 or 2 more minutes to let people get in. I'm so excited about this content this evening. All right, how's everybody doing? All right, starting in 1 more minute. Good evening, good evening. Hope everybody is doing well tonight. All right. All right, well, it is 8:01 Central Standard Time. I don't know what time zone you are in, but welcome to our celebration. I can't believe it's been over 2 years now. We are approaching our 100th episode. Oh my gosh. So super exciting. I want to do a check for sound. Let me know if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up out there. See that? All right. Well, we are celebrating 100 episodes, and we wanted to do it big. If you follow us, maybe you're new to this, but those that are true to it know that we love to give tons of information away. Our biggest motivation is that we know that what mentors can do for you, and that is why we love to coach in this space, because you can learn a lot of things, right, by reading, by mentorship, by experience, but there's something about when someone that has been through that before can coach you. It provides you just, I like to say, it's like this wrinkle in time. You take point A and B and get there sooner. So that is the hope. So we have been giving away things all week as we count down. Tonight will be no different. So on our first night, which was Sunday night, Jamila came in and talked about the resume. So if you did not get all of the gems that she shared in that one, you are missing out. Okay, she gave the format. If you see all of our social media and all the things that we put out, she did not give herself credit for that. She's the mastermind behind all of those designs. So if you were on the fence or didn't know when she was telling you about things that are visually appealing for people, obviously from experience, she shared that of the different things, and as a not only experienced but educated coach, gave great sound advice. So if you missed that, not walk, run and go get that, particularly if you are in the market. Number one, but I feel like, and I'm talking to myself right now, as Candace always says, when I say people, you should always have your resume updated. A lot of companies ask for internal resumes, and it doesn't always have to be for an actual position that you're looking for. It could be for an opportunity, for a grant that you're looking at. It could be volunteer. It could be for an award. There's so many things that you need your resume for. And this is an area where you want to stay ready. Okay. So enough about night one. But the reason why I'm starting there is an important comment and fact that she gave is the resume is about getting you the interview. Okay. So we talk a lot about it. It's a volume game. And there's a lot of thoughts around mass applying for jobs, and I'm not a fan of just applying for any jobs. In fact, I laugh at memes that talk about, like, there's this one, I'm going to call her a comedian, but she posts things and she put, I need to stop applying for all these roles on Indeed. Tomorrow I have an interview to be a judge. I think it's so funny. But anyway, in regards to interviewing in mass, you're going to see different opinions about that. I think if you are seeing roles that you're interested in and you're seeing in different fields and things like that, the quantity is really what you have to think about, right? So we talked a lot about beating the box, the ATS system, things like that, right? And tips to do that. But really, at the end of the day, having a strategy of what you need to do and how you get there. And if you're like, check, I got that, right? Like, I am good. I understand it in my field. I am getting the interviews. I'm passing things around. Recruiters call me. In fact, I'm getting this on a regular basis. I feel very confident in that step. But I have a question, and these are questions that we get a lot, is why am I not getting a call back after the first interview? And I want to offer you 5 things to consider. I always say consider, okay, to think about in how you're showing up. And this could be for you, so you can try it on and say, yeah, that probably does fit. I need to think about that in my job search. Or you know what, I hadn't thought about that. Let me think about it, and maybe you could show up different as you go into interviews. But what I will guarantee for you is that you can apply these things immediately. Okay, so let us know in the comments which one of these considerations, I'm gonna give you 5, resonates the most. Drop it in there immediately. If you're watching this after the live stream, please engage with us in the comments. This helps us continue to have really great content. Or shoot and any of our socials, whether it's on Twitter, on Facebook, you saw this, on our Instagram page, on LinkedIn. Let us know, like, you know what? I watched that live about what I need to do to think about getting past the first interview. I applied it this week, and let us celebrate with you, because I guarantee you after you listen to these tips that I will give, it will get better. Okay. All right. Well, friends, interview should hopefully get you the job. So if the resume's job is to get you the interview's job is to get you the job. Okay. So that's what I want you to think about. So similar to our first night and most of our coachings, if you listen to or have had any of our content, if you have actually purchased any of our master classes, we always talk about mindset. And that's where we need to start with this, right? You need to be going into it if this is my goal, right? Sometimes I hear people saying, oh, I'm just interviewing because I'm rusty. I want to do that. Why? Right? Like, go in and be clear, and it is okay. So if you're at a point in your job search where you have gotten very content with no's, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm just socializing and meeting people, I'm building my network, it's okay. It's okay to be disappointed, but don't lose sight that the point of the interview is to get the job. So the first reason could be that you need to do your homework. So if you're taking notes, that's what number 1 is. Do your homework. So you need to be prepared. Okay. I want you to think about yourself. If you have not, you are the chief operating officer of your job search. You can pay coaches, right? You can Google all day. You can text a friend that you know is an expert in this. You can inbox people and ask their opinion all day, and ask people to socialize your resume or do those things, right? But at the end of the day, you are the chief operating officer. Okay. So here's what I want you to think about. If you were preparing for the Olympics, you would be prepared to do what other people aren't doing, right? And if that's too far-fetched for you to think about, like, wow, I don't even know what I would compete in, I want you to think about somebody that is. Like, let's think about my sport, I would say track and field, and think about an athlete that you watched in the Summer Olympics, and I want you to think about what their training regimen may have been. You can assume that their diet is something that they are very, very specific about. Weight training, right? Strength training. There's probably some mental work that they're doing. There's some rehab work that they're doing. Reflection after their performance, right? You would assume that they have a coach that's coaching them. All of these layers, right, that come together for that race. In many cases, they are, training for 4 years for a specific number of minutes or seconds or one toss or one throw or one jump, right? So I say that to say you may be preparing for hours and weeks and months and years in some cases if you're progressing in your career for this one interview, okay? So going back to the volume game, when you talk about applications or in applying, it's a volume game when you think about preparation. So this is where you want to go back to school. If you don't have note cards, if you don't have a system, whether one that I like to use is looking in the mirror. If you don't have like a voice recorder on your phone, how do you look, right? How do you sound? What are the answers that you want to talk about? What are the stats that you're going to bring? Whatever that is, that's a part of your regimen to get ready for the interview, that's what I want you to consider. So if you're accepting interviews, right, from somebody calls you and says, hey, are you available tomorrow at 8 a.m. because you're so eager you got that call and you want to get in, you probably didn't give yourself enough time to do your homework, meaning to be prepared and show up your best. So that is the first thing I want you to think about and consider of how much time you're putting in to prepare to be your best self, and what are you doing in your preparation for the interview that's going to differentiate I can't even say that word tonight, that is going to be the differentiator for you, Okay, and I'm gonna get that word before we finish. But you have to think about it. That's the game, right? Like it is about that. So that's the first one that I would give you. Now, continuing from a preparation standpoint, number two is gonna be researching the company. Seems very simple, right? And in the world where most people have a device with a data plan with live information that is moving at who knows, right? Giga speeds, right? Multi giga speeds, that people do not take the time, people being you, take the time to research the company that they are interviewing. So, company, institution, person that you're interviewing with. So, you want to research the company and know all the key factors about the company, right? How long has the company been around? How many employees do they have? What is their mission statement? If this is a revenue generating company, what was the last financials that they posted? Is the company performing well? Are they talking about expansion? Are they downsizing? Are they in multiple countries, right? All things you need to know. If you are in education and this is an institution and you're interviewing, and maybe you're in a private institution now, maybe you're interviewing, this may be a Christian university. What is different between private and public schools? You need to know the difference, because when you get in that interview and they start asking you your questions about your position on different things, and you're like, wow, I didn't know that this is what was going on. You want to know those things. Keep in mind, we're going back to, we started at the front of doing our own homework and showing up our best. These are things that are going to set you apart. Okay, so if anybody has any questions on that, drop that in the chat right now. I know my business partners will help me keep up with the questions here. And like, once again, if you're watching this later, we can come back and we will make sure that we answer any questions. So if you're like, hey, this is the first time I thought about this. Hey, I was just doing a generic search, or I don't even know where to go to find this information on the company. Some places to start is follow their social media. Most companies are going to have a space, right? They may not be on all the social media places, but obviously you can go to their page, look at what they have, their branded information about their company. Then you can also go on their social media pages, whether that's X, I guess we can still call it Twitter, right? You can see if they go on their LinkedIn page, if they have a Facebook page. These are things that you want to engage in. And if you also have access to trade magazines or industry specific things, for instance, I'll use HR because I work in HR for a while. I still subscribe to the HR magazine. There's companies that are on there on a regular basis. I know where to go get that information. So if you're, for instance, in the medical field, there's different publications that you can look at and go to. You want to start there. So start very generic, and then as you continue to refine your search, I would say diversify where you're looking at the information as well. But you want to know, because at the end of the day, you're thinking about the end in mind, right? Not only getting the interview, you want to get the job, but you want to get the job somewhere that you want to be. Okay. And if you're invested in that, and if you're the chief operating officer of your career, and this interview and this job search, those are the details you would get into, right? All right, number 3 is personalizing the answers to the role. Yes, okay. So we talk a lot about storytelling, and it's so much to be said here. It is so much to be said. It's almost like, you see my posture on this, right? Is being able to tell your story. And not only tell your story succinctly, tell it with energy, and be excited about it, okay? So here's some things to consider with your storytelling. You want to make sure that you don't have canned answers. So if you're following the list that I'm giving you in regards to your homework, researching the company, right? Showing up as your best. If you've prepared some highlights from your career and you're like, wow, you know what? There's probably 5 key moments, right? When I think about this role, or that I want to make sure that I share. How do you share that in a way where, with the question that they're asking, you're prepared to tailor your response so that you're still answering the question that the interviewer is asking you, but you're also still conveying what you want them to know, okay? So when you think about that, a lot of times, what's missing is people's key strengths, right? Like what you do really well. You thought of a scenario, it sounds really well, so maybe that's not your issue. But after someone hears this really great story, do I want to know more about the other characters in this story? Do I want to know, like, am I more fascinated about the company and the situation? Or do I listen to this and I am more fascinated about you because I know how you do this, how often you do this, right? So that's what you want to think about when you're putting these compelling stories together. So, for instance, here are just two acronyms that I would give you that can help you kind of frame up your storytelling really quick. Obviously, we talk about this in other areas. A lot of people hear the STAR method, which is, if you Google it, it's very generic, but it can help you organize your thoughts if you have not done that yet. Or maybe you have and you want to bump it up against this and say, okay, all right, maybe I can just tweak this particular portion of my storytelling. So I would say STAR method, if you're not familiar with what it stands for, is situation, tasks, actions, and results. And if you did not see the interview that Candace did, there is, oh my gosh, I will go back and we will drop it in the comment section. I almost want to pause and give it to you right now since we are on a live and it is about making sure you get the information and you get activated. She had an interview and it was fantastic. The expert that we were able to have on, he gave some really great tips on things to consider for your interview process and storytelling. Mike Trevino is one that she did. Mastering Job Interviews was fantastic. And she had another that I'll make sure is dropped there as well. But two separate interviews that gave great, more insight here from other experts in the field. And then one that I like to use as well is CAR, CAR. So you want to talk about whatever the contest was. Okay, so whatever the situation was going on, similar thoughts, what the action that you took and the results. Okay, so when you think contest, well, I really don't know what a contest. Well, if I'm in sales, okay, let's say I'm a pharmaceutical rep and there's 50 other reps in the country that do the same thing that I do in a different geographical area, that's the contest. Who is going to be selling the most of whatever the product that we sell? Okay, say we're in oncology and we do these things. I'm setting that up, that this is the product. There's this many people that do the job that I do. We have quarterly goals, right? And if I'm number one in those goals, that's how I'm talking about and setting up the context, right? That I get that, you understand it. Then you'll know what actions I took that are different than any other rep in the company, right? So if I don't, most reps do cold calls or maybe they outsource these things to other people and they have people to do the administrative piece for them, but you take a separate, extra touch and you do maybe a personalized thing that you send out to all of your clients. Maybe you have a system where you track and have ticklers on your calendar where you follow up with those people. Now I'm understanding the rigor and the pace that you do your work, the attention to detail that you have, your customer service, right? Are you feeling me? Are you getting into this? All right. And then the result, what is better because I do all of those things? So you can be walking around frolicking and having a good time and buying lunches all day, but you're going to seal the deal with, and you know what? I got the President's Award. Right? I, for 3 years straight, have been number one. Hey, I've had year over year or quarter after quarter growth. Hey, my territory has expanded. So are you following me with the method? Okay, so personalize your answers. I may go into that interview knowing that I want to share that I have the best customer service or I am the best teacher and nobody can do it like me. And you're going to get this, and I want to make sure I share that I got this award. But how I share that may be crafted and brought up differently and doesn't come across as a canned answer. Okay, let me know if that makes sense. Drop that in the chat, but think about your answers. This is personalized tonight. All right, and then number 4, value. Okay, what value do you bring and what value are you sharing? So here's the real. When an interviewer is doing an interview, first interviews, they are probably talking to a ton of people, right? Even if they narrowed it down to people that were qualified for the role. At a certain point, you don't want to blend in with all of the other people. I like to say it's almost like looking for a house. time you get to house 20 or 30, even if you put the stats in and said, I want a 2-story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, I want to make sure it has great landscaping, curb appeal, good school district, check, 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 check. Everybody had that. What is the value? What was the difference? And those are going to be the next two that I want you to think about, right? And think of it in that way. When you think about what is the return on investment that an employer will get, and that may be harsh, but I'm answering the question of why you're not getting called back. Okay. So you want to answer that whatever the need is that the employer is looking for, how you solve that. Okay. So if you're interviewing, I'll use school again. If you're interviewing for an assistant principal or principal role, an administrative role, and they're having record turnover for schools. This is a school that has low test scores. That is a need that they have. You've already done your research. You've already been practicing. You have an example. You already did this, right? You have years of certification and application of these things. Now, I can close this need for you because I know how to do this. This is the demographic of your students. This is the demographic of your teachers. Are you following me? Okay. So you want that interviewer to walk away with why they can't afford to not hire you. Okay? People, hey, don't worry about any of that. You want the people to walk away and say, hey, oh my gosh, right? And this is where personal branding comes in. This is where you being able to understand how you are a problem solver. Okay. So if you can't answer that question and feel really good, remember the first night Jamila challenged us all to say, and she gave her personal example to say, I knew I had the best resume ever out of anybody in this market. Here were the things that differentiated me, I got the word right, from everybody else. These two things, right? This is what I'm giving you now in the interview, value. So we go from having this great interview that gets me in the door to now when I go in, this is how I seal the deal. So I want you to be confident, okay? So hopefully, right, and we cover this even more in our master's course, which I will be giving away 5 of those tonight. So the first 5 people that comment under this video, you will get the master's course, our master class course for you. And if you want an extra bonus in another one of our workshops, if you can actually email us. So subscribe. You probably have already subscribed, but subscribe, comment, and then email us, and I'll make sure then you'll get the second as well. Okay. All right. And that'll be a surprise of what those are, but definitely more information we can delve in more. And even if you want to have one-on-one, as I'm saying these things, you're like, wow, I need a coach in this area because Alicia, these things that you're sharing, I need some work. Right now I'm understanding. At first I felt like, oh, what more do these people want? They called me, they're hiring, right? Why am I not getting a job? Now that you're answering this question for me, I'm not providing it and I don't know how. This is where we come in, okay? And then last but not least, because I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes. I know I got on a little early, but is the X factor. Yes, what is that about you? And this may be controversial, and I'm fine with that, right? Once again, I started this video letting you know that these are my thoughts. This doesn't represent any company. This is me trying to help you. And these are my independent thoughts that don't represent that. I want to ask you this question, right? There is a part of like when you think about, I don't want to say, thinking about Mr. and Mrs. Congeniality, but there's a reason that you have those categories, right? That's why that word is there when you think about a charismatic leader, right? You may not be a charismatic person, but there is an element of likability. And that rubs some people the wrong way when you say that of like, well, I am the best accountant. I have this and right, but so does everybody else that is interviewing for the role. That is the price of entry. So you have to ask yourself, what is your X factor? And maybe, here's the real, maybe you are an introverted person and you're not the most outgoing. Maybe it's hard for you to show your personality in an interview. How do you compensate for that to show your personality, right? Because once again, we go back to looking for that home, right? Same specifics that each house will have. So most people are going to have the same skills, the same experiences. I want you to think about how you are going to differentiate, say it twice, yourself from everybody else. Okay? And that's for you to make personal. You want it to be authentic, you want it to be true to you. But at the end of the day, you want them to know a little bit about you. Okay, and for them to remember. So those are five things I would offer for you tonight. Hopefully that has helped you. I've given away 5 master's classes. If you listen to that portion, you know what the details are. You got to get to that point. And if you're picking up now, I also want to give away 5 I think we do 90 days. I know they'll correct me if not. We can. I know how to do it in the system. Is offer 5 people an invitation to our community. Okay, so 5 will offer that, and that is a huge value where you get this type of coaching on a daily basis. Okay, so we offer, there's all kind of content that's in there, and you'll be in community with like-minded people. Okay, so let's get better together. Thank you so much for celebrating with the 5-minute career hack. 2 years, it has definitely been a labor of love. This is for me definitely an area where it helps me stay sharp, helps me give back, and be able to be what I wish I would have had. Okay, so go be great. Good luck this week. Hopefully your confidence is built. Hopefully you're going back into the lab and you can apply these 5 principles that I gave you, considerations, this week. All right. So talk to you all soon. Have a good night.